Hello everybody, welcome back. It's me, your old pal Orpheus, with another edition of Orpheus Plays. I seem to be imprisoned. They have something, these are new actually in the game with update 12. These cart-like prison things. And they have a little bit of a cheaty thing going on. You can kind of move them like this. Oh boy, that'll be interesting if I mess with that a little later. Anyway, I hope you're doing well wherever you are right now today, whether it's day or night, or you find yourself trapped in a really weird, prison-y kind of cart thing. Anyway, tune yourself in right here on Orpheus Plays. We'll get a little bit of blade and sorcery nonsense going on. I have no idea what I'm doing here. I feel like Fred Flintstone. Boom! That is not in slow motion. That is physics, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, today I think I'm going to talk about something that I've never really talked about very much. Actually, I've never talked about this at all on my channel. Before we get started on that, we are playing survival mode today here, where they give you a selection of 3 different weapons. You choose one, waves come out, they get progressively harder. You know the drill. Let's get things kicked off right now. We will pick the crappy camp axe. Because why not? I'm going to get in this thing for the first traditional... Whoa, where did that go? What the hell? It went back up there. Okay, let's go up there. Where's my first kill? Where's my first victim? Come here, Arnold wants to stick his axe in your face. Come here. I don't know why I do this silly Arnold voice all the time. No, yes I do. It's because it helps keep me company on the lonely days. Anyway, just kidding. How are you? Yes, you're doing well today? Good, great. I am too. I'm recovering great from my appendectomy. In the last few videos, you've probably seen that I'm a little bit more limber this time, and I'm getting stronger every day. Let's chop this lady right in the face. Nope. Come here. Right in the... You're still swinging. There, that's for you. Whee! Is she dead yet? Yes, she is. Okay. Woo! So... another day for great mayhem here in the world of blade and sorcery. This friggin' weird medieval time where all sorts of weird things can happen. Let's see. Where's my next victim? There you are. Let's slow things down, do a little bit of the update 12 smashables. Oh, bucket to the face. Are you dead yet? No? Okay. Let's change that. A little bit of... We'll smash you in the face with some pottery. I'm never going to be able to get enough of that. Like, seriously. That stuff is built into the game now. It's amazing. Alright. So, what I wanted to talk about today is, boy, do you play World of Warcraft? Is it something that you've played? Is it something that you have played or you play right now? At one point, over 10 million people, I think it was actually up to 12 million people at one point, playing the game, like active subscriptions. And it was so big. If you aren't familiar with like how big it was, there was a media campaign that had people like Vern Troyer and Jean-Claude Van Damme and William Shatner and Mr. T. And there were like, it was like the William Shatner one was especially funny because it's like, I'm William Shatner and I'm a shaman. Right? And it was like Bill Shatner being all, Captain Kirky. Well, so that was a huge game. And I first got introduced to it right before we moved for the first time to the state that we're in now. My wife had gotten her first job in her career, and we decided to come to this state to do a little bit of work. And just before I left, there was this new game that had come out. It had been out for about 6 to 8 months, and it was like this dungeon crawlery thing, right? Where you get gear and you go together in groups with people, and it was kind of like I'd been playing what is it, Star Wars Galaxies at that point. So people were saying it's kind of like that, but it's, it's more set in a fantasy, like medieval kind of thing. And I'm like, ooh, okay, that sounds kind of cool. Because I had seen, I'd been someone that had played stuff like Civ, and you're having a problem, bro. Stuff like Civ. I had tried the original Diablo at one point. I wasn't really, honestly, very impressed by it, unfortunately. But I liked the idea, but the technology was really never there. I'm someone that grew up with Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that, role-playing games, the paper and pencil ones. And so I always wanted a game that was like that. I played stuff like Gauntlet, right, in the arcade. The 4-person game where it's like, elf needs food badly. Yeah, that one. I'd spent frigging hours on that game, like pumping quarters into that thing. Oh my god. So one of my friends was like, you should try this game out. And I'm like, what's it called? He says, oh, it's called World of Warcraft. And I'm like, oh, okay. That's pretty sweet, right? It sounds cool. I've seen a couple of people playing it, and why not? Let me try this. And so I started playing a little bit, and I was like, wow, this game is amazing. And then we moved. We moved to this state, and my wife started working, and there I was. I had taken a break from my radio career because my wife and I did like a little like race for a career thing, like race for the job, where she and I both applied for jobs all over the country, and we said whoever gets a job offer first will go to that place, and that's where we'll do our life for a while. Well, so I was putting out radio. Damn it. I was putting out radio applications. She was putting out her career applications, and it took about 3 or 4 weeks, and she finally got a job offer. And so we went there, and I was, there were no radio stations that I could work at this place. And so I had a lot of time. And so I was like, well, this is perfect, right? I can play World of Warcraft all the time. Well, so Burning Crusade came out just after we got there, after we got to this first place. And I was like, wow, this is really an incredible game. I was spending, oh my god. I mean, if you've played World of Warcraft, right? You know how much time you can sink into that. Oh, by the way, is this just a thing for me and a couple other people? When you play World of Warcraft for a while, and it's usually when you just start playing, or when you haven't played for a while and you pick up the game again, you have WoW dreams, right? You have dreams where you're like completing quests and stuff with friends and all that. Maybe that's just me. I think that isn't, because I've talked to a few people about it over the years, and they've all said that they have this. Like, if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. If not, it's a really bizarre thing that happens to a lot of people. They dream about playing the game like in real life. Anyway, so my wife would come walking by once in a while as I'm sitting there at the computer, clicking away, looking like the guy in South Park, like leaning back, clicking everything. Not that big, but so she'd come by once in a while and she'd see me playing that, and she's like, that game looks kind of dumb, right? And because she was not into the World of Warcraft stuff, or at least at that point, like the role-playing game stuff. She had tried Star Wars Galaxies, but meh, we only had one computer at that point, and so it was, wow. It's less of a skinning knife and more of a beheading knife. Anyway, so she'd pass by and go, oh, that looks dumb. Oh, let's catch you. And into the Brad with you. Whee! And she splattered. And so, it took a couple weeks. She's like, that looks dumb. I think that's a waste of time and everything. And then she, a couple weeks later, she's like, could you maybe install that on my computer? And she's like, I just kind of want to try it out. And I'm, okay, that sounds fair. And so I put it on hers, and she starts playing a little bit. And then she, starts getting to the point where she's really starting to get into it. Now, folks, I'm not bragging here. I'm telling you a hardcore fact. My wife won't tell you this herself, but she is legitimately one of the best healers in World of Warcraft. To give you an example of how dedicated she has been to this game over the years, and how good she is, we were watching BlizzCon. Boy, I don't even know when this one was. If you were watching it, you might remember this little thing. So they did a little. They had the original creator of one of the original creators of World of Warcraft there not Bobby Kotick or anything like that. He was an older guy that had left the business like a while ago, and they had everyone in the audience start to stand, like they had them all stand up, and they said, okay, so what we're going to do is by achievement score. You sit down when we've said, so if you have less than this many, sit down. If you have this many or less, sit down. If you have this many or less, sit down. And they had more and more people sitting down until it was like 2 people and this guy, one of the co-founders of the game, who, mind you, has made it very clear that he plays the game pretty much all the time because he loves it, okay? So they get to the point where they're going on and on with these, like the achievement score, and it gets to the point where everybody else has sat down and the founder guy sits down, and my wife looks at me and she goes, I have a much higher achievement score than where they stopped. She's got like, oh my god, well over, like, I think 1,000 mounts in the game, well over like 3,000 pets or something. She's got exalted reputations with essentially everybody. Like, I don't understand how she got so good at the game. Well, no, I do. She's intelligent as hell, so she picked it up like just completely immediately. So we moved again. We moved from that job after a few years, and we ended up near a big city. Here in this state. And so we're both really into the game. We were raid leaders, like hardcore raid leaders in Burning Crusade. We were like the min-max, scream at everybody, the minus 50 DKP, like DPS slowly, that kind of guy. And we were really serious, really into it. And then I was like, honey, why don't we do like a podcast, right? Podcasting was all the rage back then. And so we decided, yeah, we'll do a podcast, because I hadn't done radio in a while, but I still had a lot of my equipment and everything. So I was like, I've got my own audio board, I've got my own microphones. We could totally do a World of Warcraft podcast. And so we got it all planned. I got bed music and everything. There were a few places you could do podcasts live at that point, and that was what I wanted to do. That was my whole thing. Like, I went on live at 8 p.m. Once a week or whatever it was. I would actually have intro music, treat it like it was a radio show the whole time, did everything live, no editing, no nothing. And we started to build an audience, which was really weird. Oh boy. We started to build an audience, which was really strange. It's kind of like here on YouTube. When I'm gaining followers, it feels so weird because I'm like, why? All I'm doing is just talking and playing a video game, right? But I get it, there's a lot of crazy stories and stuff. So, wow. So, we started doing this podcast, and we're getting we're getting listeners, and it's, to the point where we're getting 10, 20 people in the room, the chat room at a time, and we're starting to get people that are like downloading it, because, man, back then, okay. Drama Queen of the Day, ding, 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 ding. Anyway, so we're starting to get people, on iTunes listening to us, and boy, iTunes back then, in order to get on there and get your stuff linked and uploaded and everything, yeah, that was a nightmare back then doing that, because you had to do all sorts of crazy stuff. At least for me, I had all sorts of trouble with it. So we started, we were doing shows. Oh no, I'm so sorry. No, I'm not. Sorry, not sorry. But we started to do all these shows. And then we decided that we're gonna bring one of our guildmates in to help with the show, to be like an extra voice to bounce off of. And it's funny, in this podcast, like here I do a little bit of work to like sort of maintain some anonymity, right? Wow. To sort of maintain some anonymity, right? I don't tell you where I am. I don't tell you my name. I don't tell you what my wife does for a living, all that stuff. Well, during this podcast, we were... Wow, we were shameless. Like we would say everything about where she, like, not where she worked, but what she did for a living, like our real names. We used our real names for this. Ooh. Oh no. Like, and I think I've said this before. Yeah, I have said this before. I have a very unique first name, right? And it's not something that you would forget, and it's not something that you've probably heard. Most of you have never heard of my, what my name is. Many of you may have heard it once or twice. Maybe once or twice, not from me, of course, but maybe. And so, like, it was weird. I went back and listened to a couple of episodes, and I'll get to that in just a second. And so I'm listening to a couple of the old episodes, and I'm like, oh my god! Not only do I tell people my name, I tell people like where it's from and why my parents named me that, and like how it's caused, the different ways people have said it over the years. It's like, I didn't just tell people my name, I told people everything about my name. Like, holy crap. Did I see you can enchant the little camp axe now? Oh, dude. It's a little tiny Stormbreaker. I'm Thor. Rah. I should have gone for the head. Oh, no. Anyway, so yeah, I didn't care anything about it then, I guess. But so we brought in a guildmate to help with kind of like, to bounce more stuff off of. A lot of my comedy is either like when I tell stories like this, but a lot of it is really like bouncing things off of people. That's why I loved radio so much, having a co-host. You can bounce ideas and jokes off of people. My wife is incredible at that stuff with me. I mean, of course, because we've known each other for so long. But this gal that we brought in, first of all, she acted like a dumb blonde, right? That was her whole thing. And maybe, I don't know, maybe she was a dumb blonde. We never saw her. So, but she started to make the show like unbearable to play, to record. She started getting mean about things and asking to have more of a point in the show, and she wanted her own segment and stuff. And I'm like, this is my show. I don't understand what you're talking about. Wow, nice shot, dude. You're pretty good. Ha! And so it started to get kind of unbearable. And then that thing happens in World of Warcraft that always happens, and it is that you start to get a little angry at your guildmates. Maybe it's a piece of gear that drops that one of you wants and the other one wants. Hold on, let me have an apple. Nom 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 nom. Maybe it's a guildmate that takes a piece of gear that you wanted or something like that. Maybe it's someone said something stupid. We had I think for this one it was someone said something racist, and I got mad about it, and then they tried to say that it was their brother that came on and said it or whatever. We were on Vent or who cares? Anyway, so that all broke up. We moved again. The podcast went away. Well, here's the interesting part. That was in like 2006, maybe 2007, somewhere. No, maybe 2008, somewhere in there. And so it's been a while, right? And so I was really curious the other day, and I went and looked it up. And I was like, I wonder if there's, because we used to have a website and all that stuff, and it was hosted on a few different sites as well, like free ones like WordPress and all that stuff. And so I went looking for it, and I couldn't find it on any of those websites. Of course, my website that we had it on was gone. I hadn't kept up the domain name, of course, in a long time. And so it was gone from there, and it was gone from WordPress. And I couldn't find it anywhere except, what the hell was that? Except in one place, the Internet Archive, right? And so I found it there, and all the episodes are there. Well, no, actually, there's only about 4 episodes on there of the whole thing, which is kind of weird. But anyway, so I was like, oh my God, it's the podcast, right? And I start looking, and over the years, our little podcast has gained sort of a little cult following almost. It is really weird. Like, there's so many views of it, or, listens or whatever, People have listened to it so many times over the years. It's like in the thousands of people that have listened to this stupid show, like all the episodes too. And it's all stuff that's like, you know, the latest we went in the game with this podcast was Cataclysm. Let's see if I can catch it. Can I catch it? Oh, come here. Come to daddy. Come here. Yeah, I got it. But the latest we went was Cataclysm, if that gives you like a time frame. But it was so weird to find out that we had like a following. Oh, she's just chilling. Hey, man. She's posing for something. That's cool. Anyway, so yeah, that's my little blurb on that. I can't believe that we had a podcast where we did all that stuff. It was interesting. It was fun. But it was nerve-wracking because, like I said, we did it live. And it was like a 2-hour show where I took maybe 3 breaks during the whole thing. And, you know, I thought it was really fun and interesting. I might do something like that again. Not a World of Warcraft one, but some sort of topic. I'm toying with doing a podcast here on YouTube. But we'll see if that pans... Ew, I'm going to have to edit that sound out. It's really loud in-game. But... yeah, maybe I'll do that at some point in the future here. We'll see. All right. That's our episode for today. We'll see you on the next one. I hope you're doing well. I hope you continue to do well. And you know what? Treat yourself well because you deserve it. Right, we'll see you on the next episode of Orpheus Plays. Take care. Bye.